Okay, I'm just getting a quick bit of footage for this. So today is scheduled to be half sunny and half scattered thunderstorms. Yeah, make sense of that. At least for what would for decades have been, years ago, Canada's traditional weather. But I digress. So that's for the rest of the day, the forecast. But earlier in the day, it was croaking hot, and it was a massive heat wave. I was baking alive in my tent. I had the flaps open trying to air it out. It's over in this baseball diamond. And I don't know if you can see it on the video well enough, but, well, if you actually look, maybe if it's in this position, you can see it. Can you see it? Sort of? Yeah, I think you can. There's steam coming off of these rocks. Now this little river here isn't some sort of, I don't know the ecological term for it, where it's a river that is very hot and has basically it's at a boiling temperature. I know there are some of those common in the Amazon rainforest of South America. It's not one of those, no. It's just coming from the rocks here. And no doubt when it was massively hot earlier, or majorly overall, the sun was beating down on these rocks, probably to a point where if human skin made contact with them, it would burn like mad and make your pain receptors go haywire, as if you had just touched a hot skillet. So, but now that it's raining, it's very clear that it's cooling them off enough to a point where steam is actually coming off of the rocks. And holy shit, is it coming off of the... Yeah, actually. Yeah, it is. I don't know if you can see it. It's coming off of the pavement as well. Over here. On the blacktop. Jesus damn. Well. Again. There's some more proof of the severity of global warming. So. I don't know what to tell you. So, as you can tell here, the street artist is very clearly a fan of modern high school washroom stall art. It's very, I have to say, they've definitely put a lot of effort into their work. Very, very neat designs. Me personally, I'm more of a fan of Craig Bachman Van Gooch myself, in terms of their stylistic design. But you know what, I actually think it's quite interesting, this more abstract style they got going on here with these two pieces. Oh, and for those of you who don't know who Craig Bachman Van Gooch is, well, they're an indie artist based in Toronto, Ontario. A bit of an, actually, an up-and-coming designer. Fantastic, absolute genius as far as I'm concerned in terms of, well, creative drawing. You can often find them at the corner gas station on Kingston and Port Union, just off the 407 highway in the Scarborough district. Just they're usually working inside their study, which is the gas station's washroom. And they often it's full of fantastic designs. They're real creative. Well, just a brilliant mind. They have more of a realistic... Yeah, actually, it seems like maybe even this artist is someone inspired by them. They have more of a realistic design going for them, especially in terms of the styles for the penises that they draw. And I guess somewhat here you can kind of get that feeling with the vein work and the shaft, and clearly I guess trying to emulate throbbing for the ejaculation, obviously. And Van Gogh is very good at that. But again, more realistic, it's usually... They go for more of a... I guess you'd call it a half banana shape, for more of a more realistic erect penis. And it's usually from a side view angle, not from, I guess, what's supposed to be sort of a... either top down or just front forward view, I guess is a way that you can call it. But if they're not in their study, you can also find them outside of the local gas station. They're usually just dealing LSD and codeine. I'm not going to say anything right now, but just for later in the video. Take note of this pile of very large dead tree branches. Oh, and also take note of the fact that I've been sleeping over there for the past, well, 3 days. Well, you're concerningly large. But maybe you're all bark and no bite. Well, actually... Oh yeah, absolutely they bite, but maybe you're not as painful as I'm probably thinking. I have no clue what kind of spider you are. I just woke up to you dangling over my head. But thankfully you're on the exterior of the tent. Rue de Narcissus, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Which, given from my knowledge of the wording in Quebecois French, I can only assume that that means, or what it roughly translates to in English, would be along the lines of Road of Narcissus, or Road of Narcissism, or something in relation to narcissistic personality traits. Well, you know what? Given the neighborhood that this road is located in, well, I guess to some degree, yeah, I would completely agree with that stance. So, well, at least the community is owning it and is at least somewhat self-aware of it, I guess. Well, it seems that someone filled the public fountain here up with some sort of soap material. And how I know that, and that it's not just naturally occurring foam from the water, is, well, I'm pretty sure the type of foam you see in freshwater lakes cannot form in this small of, well, a body. And, well, I can smell the scent of strawberries from here. And, Yeah, it might be these geniuses behind the fountain just talking amongst each other, but I don't know. But, well, normally I would be for this. If A, they weren't using some highly artificial soap product that had mounds of chemicals in it, and B, if people were actually going to be utilizing the fountain as a public bath. But sadly, no one is, because there's quite literally just, you can't see it from here. There's a restriction sign saying, do not even touch the water or don't enter the fountain. So, it seems to be rising. So, I guess we'll see how this turns out. How many times have I told Jesse not to stash the supply out in the damn open? So, whilst visiting the public library here in St. Dorothy on and off for the past week that I've been, well, coming here to redraw my diagrams, I ended up finding this one book that has various drawn or painted portraits of different locations across the city of Laval, and actually detailing the some amount of history of the architecture and things of the sort. Now, obviously it's in Quebecois French, so I can't read it. But there's also another one in the same section that it was in on Laval with actual older style photographs that were in black and white. But again, I couldn't read it. But they're the only two that I've been able to find that actually have some amount of details on, like, historical sites in the city. Most books written about the history of the GMA obviously really just concern Montreal. But this one was especially interesting because, well, here, I'll just, if I can flip through it from here. It has various incredibly well done pictures of these various places. Look at this. And some of these places I've been to in the city, but some of them are almost hyper-realistic in terms of their style, and they're, at least in my opinion, absolutely fantastic. Okay, this is St. Rose. I don't believe I passed through that name. Oh. Hey, actually, I'll talk about that later in the video. I definitely know that road from my research, but I haven't been there yet. Okay. Yeah, these ones look like they're more of a watercolor design. Maybe some of them have a bit of a pastel mix. That one's definitely watercolor. But they're all incredible. And, here, actually, let me see if I can find it. Okay, so, here, this one, that is the train bridge that I slept beside in that little vacant, abandoned, concrete divot, which I think used to be a parking space that was in Pont-Vieux. At least I believe, in Pont-Vieux. That's definitely where that is. I slept literally right over there. It's curly, and this one might be Montmorency College. But, okay. There's another one, though. There's some that are really hyper-realistic that I want to showcase. So this is the cover, and I didn't even notice until looking at this page that wasn't a photograph. I thought that was a photograph at first. That's how good that is. And there's the Cosmodome downtown with the rocket ship outside of it. And then, shit. And it also has a map just of Jesus Island. Some of the labeling for the districts isn't correct, but, well, for the most part it is. But it's basically just sectioning it out and, well, telling you where things are. So that's the hyper-realistic one. It's not there. I've seen that place in St. Rose. Okay, let's see. This one is incredibly well done. It's almost hyper-realistic, but you can kind of tell some of the water lines, it looks like. Okay. No. That one there, that one's hyper-realistic for sure. It's very, very detailed in terms of its line work. And there's one in particular I really wanted to show, if I can actually find it. No. Almost. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. There it is. That's the one I just found. This, I couldn't. If you put that like just up to someone, I guarantee they wouldn't be able to tell at first glance that that wasn't a photograph. Look how well that's done. That is incredible. But the best one, I think, is towards the end. And these are all that one's very abstract. It's more of an abstract style. These are by Laval-based artists. Okay, the best one I think is on the last page. If I can, okay, here. That one. Yep, it's a drawing of just a simple barbershop and some other townhouses, it looks like. And I think that's in the Devernay district by Pont-Vieux, I believe that's what it's called, which is on the easternmost half of the city. But look at that. You would not be able to tell, at least I think most people would not be able to tell, that that is a sketched and painted drawing. Or maybe there's some sort of well, maybe pastel work. Actually, no. Maybe just, maybe colored pencils, potentially. So shading. You wouldn't be able to tell, I guarantee you. I'm really glad I found this book. And also, okay, if we go down to the other end of the library, noticed this incredibly intricate model of the RMS Titanic. And at first I didn't think it actually was of the Titanic, because I had initially thought I hadn't seen a picture of the ship in probably a few years now, but I thought the Titanic had only 3 smokestacks on its body, but apparently not. I looked it up, and no, it had 4. And then I also noticed that it had the name, well, Titanic, on it. But it's incredibly well done. So yeah, just thought I'd share that with you. Oh, these are really cool looking plants. Living stones. I've never heard of these before. Given the section they're in with all the cacti, I think they might be a desert plant of some kind. They almost look like, actually, just in terms of their coloration and structure, they kind of remind me of the spore trees from the toxic jungle in Nazca, the Valley of the Wind, just by their shape and, well, appearance. Holy hell. I don't think I would want to touch you at all. Yeah, I think you'd, just from one prick, you'd probably do quite a bit of damage. Not so much as a light scrape. And you... I have never seen a cactus like you before. If you'd come to focus. I've seen cacti with your coloration, like red and orangish tinge on them, but I've never seen one with this red bulbous bit at the top of a sort of just a three-sided stem. They're all very pretty. You don't see, like, these ones have sort of different colored flowers at the top. I've seen something like that, but I've never seen that type before. And looking over here, are you jumping cacti all through here? I hope not, and I don't know. I'm always curious, whenever I see people buying cacti as plants, just as like general house plants to keep in a garden, just for decorative appeal. Some of the cacti species that they buy, I'm always questioning like this. Why? What? Okay. I could definitely, depending on the individual, yes, I can psychoanalyze as to why they like a plant of this, well, nature that has spikes to protect its internal structuring from external threats that could destroy its life force. There's a metaphor in there somewhere. But again, just in terms of, like, I understand, like, let me pick out one. Okay, like a cacti like this. If I can grab it ever so fine like this. Okay, it's not terribly spiky. Okay, yes, it has quite a few spikes on it, but it's not near as lengthy as, say, some of those. It's more just like it would be a short little prick if it stabbed you. So I can understand like a cacti like this, or like that one there, or like this, the red one right over here, with just the tiny spikes on it. But I don't understand these, like, or these. My God. It's like a wrecking ball with pines on it. Or like a wrecking ball that's had medical needles and syringes just sealed into its, what are most wrecking balls made out of? Iron? It's iron mass. Just why? This is bothering me. I want to... Oh. Did you see that? Ow, ow, ow. See, I didn't want to... Oh. Well, got me a bit. Okay, hold on. Okay. Cut them out. Or like these cacti over here. Not too spiky, not terribly... Like as I just demonstrated there, it's not terribly painful if you were to accidentally jab yourself on it, but these ones, my God, if you fell on these, some of them you might need to actually go receive medical attention immediately, I would say. Most likely. So if these are, back to that, if these are jumping cacti, well, I don't know why they'd be selling these, or, well, I don't know why exactly someone would want to buy them. Other than, obviously, aesthetic appeal. These ones, though, some of these smaller ones, like this one here, this one, or this one, I guess. When I lived in the United States, in the American state of North Dakota, there are actually, not many people know this, there are some small species of cacti that actually grow in more of the southern to mid half of North Dakota. They're very rare, from what I looked up when I was living there, and it's not really common to see them, but they're in very, very dry patches of land, and most often, well, I think it's also rare because, well, in the winter, North Dakota gets blistering cold. Blistering cold. And I don't know if the cacti die off and then regrow, or if they are actually able to withstand the winter time and sustain their nutrients under the snow. I'm not sure. But we don't, in North Dakota, they don't have it near, like, say, in the, what's the desert in the southwestern half of America? I believe it's called the Saguaro Desert. That encompasses most of California in the southern half, and Arizona, and New Mexico, and I think a bit of Utah, and also, well, northern Mexico, the country. But we don't have anything near, we didn't have anything near as tall as the saguaro cacti. Those are the tallest cactuses, I believe, in the world. They're ginormous. And they also bud fruits. I don't know if any of these species bud fruits inside of them, but that's what a lot of the wildlife live off of. But, well, either way, for whatever reasons, ow, I think there was one caught on my shirt and it just pricked me, one of the needles, ow. Well, for whatever reason, then someone purchases them, whether it's a wise choice or not, and also in terms of environmental protection, whether it's wise to even be, well, keeping these in pots and not actually letting them grow in the natural ecosystem of where they're supposed to be growing, and not exporting or importing them to various other regions of the earth. Well, still very pretty, most of them, in my opinion. Even the very dangerous ones. Really? Yeah, that's not a fake turtle, that's a live turtle, and it does not look like, I can't fully tell. Again, I'm not a veterinarian or a zoologist, but they don't look like they're doing well. Oh. Didn't notice that. Okay. Maybe they are looked after well enough, but they should not be confined to this small of a living space. These are, I believe these are koi fish. No, actually, yeah, some sort of mini Japanese koi, it looks like. Yeah, look how shallow that is. It's very shallow. And I've never actually seen one of these, so I nearly knocked my phone into that. I've never seen one of these places actually have painted turtles. At least I think those are painted turtles. But, yeah, this, as far as I'm concerned, to some degree or another, even if they're looked after as best as the operators of this place can, I consider this quite unethical. Okay, yeah, this is very cruel. Like, They've literally built it high enough so that the turtles can't escape. And they've got like one stone and whatever this floating mass is in the water for them to climb up on. And maybe they can get onto that slight bit of rock over there. Yeah, okay, that's very mean. So, actually, I'm just gonna take a minute here in the video to address something rather serious to all of you out there watching. I have a bit of a confession to make, actually. That's something I'm not particularly proud of, but I'm wanting to make a change. I have been a recovering, somewhat, alcoholic for roughly the past 4 months, I'd say. And, well, through my time as being just a full-blown alcohol addict, I've, at points, it would get so bad that I'd resort to drinking full bottles of white wine every 2 hours a day. And I'm dead serious, that's how bad it's been. But, I'm starting today, I'm going to make a change. So, I'm gonna try and attempt to cut back to 1 glass of wine every night. Just one. And, well, no better time to start than, today. So, I know it's a small step, but you know what? I think it'll be worth it. Okay, I shot another clip like this. I don't know if this joke was not worth it. So interestingly enough, I'm just going to highlight this right now and then talk about it a bit later. There's, here along Sampson Boulevard, it's just a little strawberry farm. Just in the middle of the suburbs of southern Laval, here in St. Dorothy. And it's sadly right next to, a load of bullshit. But either way, once I get moving into the Laval West district, you'll probably see quite a bit more, agricultural setups similar to this. So I'll just take a minute to highlight this bakery here in the center area of St. Dorothy, Maris and Fanny. This is an incredible bakery slash cafe and just restaurant that you can eat in. They very clearly, from the 2 times I've been here, make very authentic style sandwiches, pies, various Quebecois sweets, as well as Italian sweets. So I just thought I'd highlight it while I'm here. I very much recommend that anyone in the local area go and eat at this bakery. I'm also, as I walk further back to where my campsite is, I'm going to highlight just 3 other restaurants and 2 other restaurants and 3 other restaurants and 1 little farmer's market today, at least. That's in the suburbs again, and it's a lot smaller than the strawberry farm once I get closer to the northern end of the district. So yeah. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is yet another example of atrocious, and unnecessary architectural design. Okay. Why in the hell is there at least 15 panes of glass? At least if I'm counting correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. At least 15 panes of glass covering the front door stoop of this house. And not only that, it's encasing what appears to be a small upper balcony where you can actually open the doors, the glass doors, and, well, peer out into what? Your other glass shield? That's completely pointless, unnecessary, and it's a waste of glass material. But you know what? I wouldn't... Okay, you know what? Fine, maybe you could argue it's to protect against certain weather elements like rain. If someone wanted to, I don't know, I guess it looks like they have a table set up, sit and have a drink outside on their front stoop that's encased here. Maybe you could argue that. And the same goes for the upper balcony when it's raining, so that you can look out through another pane of glass, even though you've already opened doors that are primarily constructed of glass, to just look outside during the rain or hail. Okay, fine. Or the snow. Maybe you could argue that. Fine. I wouldn't have as much of a problem with this. If you didn't have another fucking balcony right above your damn garage that was out in the elements, exposed to the exterior world, with no glass casing around it. Brilliant. Okay, so this is the other restaurant I wanted to highlight, Pizza Face. It's a small business chain that quite literally has 2 locations, one here in Laval, and apparently the original one is all the way out in Calgary, Alberta. So, yeah, I have no clue why they decided to expand one location and only one other location to Quebec, and why specifically I guess they chose Laval. But it was incredibly good, the food I had there. I had a potato shaving pizza where they quite literally shaved edges of a potato, and they added some black pepper and some rosemary, and it was very, very damn delicious. It's more of a Eastern American plus some Canadian style pizza. So I guess more New York, the American state of New York, or more specifically New York City style thin crust pizza. But it's very damn good and very authentically made, and it's clear that there's actual care put into it. So yeah, I encourage you to eat there as well. Okay, I'm at the southernmost half of Central St. Dorothy here, and the other restaurant I wanted to highlight, one of the other ones, was Kebab Itoli, I believe. There's its English name right there. Star Kebab Restaurant. And I ate here once. It was, well, a couple days ago, and my god, the food was delicious. And it's a fusion restaurant between Bangladeshi cuisine and Burmese cuisine, which marks the first time that I've ever eaten food from Myanmar, because I've never had any sort of Burmese food before. And I was actually a bit puzzled when I went in there, and obviously it has Middle Eastern influence of, well, a certain amount of, well, shish kebabs as well as Afghani style kebabs. But I was trying to somewhat deduce while I was in there. I didn't end up asking the owners when I was there. But after I ate there, I looked up, well, the restaurants on Google Maps and found out that, yeah, it was Bangladeshi and Burmese, and because when I was in there, I was trying to do this is definitely more of Eastern Central Asian themed, well, cuisine, and the actual cultural aesthetic of the restaurant. But I couldn't tell if it might have been, well, Thai, or maybe I was thinking maybe more maybe Thai or Cambodian fusion, but no, it ended up being, well, Bangladesh and Myanmar. So yeah, again, I highly recommend that you go give them a popularity if you're around here, in terms of your, I don't know what words I'm trying to say. It is very hot. You give them business. Just give them customer God, what's the word I'm looking for? No, I'm not letting this go. What is the word I'm looking for? You're gonna walk with me until I figure out the damn word. And the anomic aphasia lifts. Okay, customer. No. It's not intake is what's... It's not the word I'm looking for. It begins with a P. It's not popularity. And it's not profit either. Oh, I don't know. You know what? Fuck it. You know what I'm trying to say. Okay, never mind. It doesn't begin with a P, it begins with a C. Clientele. Literally said it in, different meaning of the same definition. Customer. What the hell was I thinking? Goddamn. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, these concrete blocks are placed here for absolutely no reason in this completely vacant dirt patch, or gravel patch. So, you know what? Let's do this. One. I'm not making this one, I don't think. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And there's no way I'm making that one. Yes, made it. Totally made it. Absolutely, 100%. I just moved so quick that the recording footage glitched. Okay, let's see. Get in the right position. Okay. That was a bit larger. Oh, this one's easy. And this one too. Well, this one's super easy. Okay, yeah. There was a bit of a delay there. I think I kind of... That time I don't think it was the footage. I think I just sort of glitched myself in the fabric of reality. For a second I was floating in midair. Okay. This one should be fine, I think. So... Oh my god! I'm amazing. Okay, that one actually, I nearly slipped on that one. Okay. Okay, these are getting thinner. And they got this half, what is this, half a bicycle tire shoved in you? Or encased in you? I have no clue. And I don't know why you're there. Maybe to lift you with a giant crane. Oh, you're easy as potato scallops. Okay, you should be easy as well. Yep. Okay, you should also be easy. Okay. Woo. Oh, wow. You slipped my foot again. Okay. Time I could have actually rolled my ankle there. Oh, okay. Yeah, this one isn't hard at all. Yoink! Oh, okay. God. Yeah, I think my awesomeness energy is kind of distorting, I don't know, the space-time continuum or something. Okay, woohoo. Oh, wow. That was the most thrilling thing I've ever done in my life. That's probably saying a lot. Yet another pointless glass encasement of a front stoop. Look, and there's the reason I'm gonna keep this bit of footage going as I'm walking here, because there's another one built into the front of a house on this road up a ways. Look, so as I said before, you want to make the argument that it's to sit out underneath, well, the cover that's attached to the glass panes, maybe during, say, a storm or during wintertime, just to get a view of the community, because if you can tell by what appears to be the average economic net worth of this area, people definitely care about community around here. But okay, if you want to make that argument that you want to sit out, let's go, sit out on your front stoop and just be protected from the weather, you know what? You don't need to do it in the design that whatever these architects and architectologists, how something like that house and the one that I showed towards more of the central area of the district, how they're set up. Why, okay, if you want to do that, why didn't you just make that into a sunroom? This is common in a lot of Western European architecture, especially in British architecture, where basically a glass attachment to the actual house, but it's a part of an actual room, and it's got a large amount of windows in it to let in sunlight, and so you can actually have a view of, well, whatever position that it's in or that's facing in terms of directions of your property. And here's the other friggin' house. This one's even more pointless. Okay, look at this. Why? What's the point here? You can't sit out on that. That one would literally just be for if you wanted to stand. If you wanted to stand in the rain and be protected and shielded from the droplets of water, but still just stand outside on your front stoop. That one's even more pointless. Why didn't you just build a sunroom where it was connected to an actual room so that you could just walk from, say, your living room out into this open space of glass? You didn't need to put a front wall or a door there. You just could have made it a sunroom. My old house in Toronto, when I was initially living there, where me and my family have been living since we moved back here to Canada, when we did before I left, I had a sunroom in my house, and it was an upper balcony sunroom, and it was just connected to the actual living room of the place. So, yeah, really pointless design, and really stupid as far as my opinion goes. Alright, okay, so actually, never mind, it just came back to my memory. 5 restaurants. I want to highlight actually 5 restaurants, because I also ate at this place, Manakish Kak, or Kakun, I believe that's how you pronounce the bread's name, which I'd actually eaten here about maybe 4 days ago or so, and that bread, I had actually never heard of it until here actually. I'm contemplating if I should walk into the park or just keep going straight. Whatever, I'll just keep going straight. What I want to show is also, well, it's within close proximity to here. And it's the main part of St. Dorothea that I've been inhabiting for the last week. But this place, Manikish, it has fantastic Lebanese-style food. And I had never heard of that type of bread before, which is apparently a specially made Lebanese bread that's cooked in a specific city, mainly in Lebanon. Not Beirut, apparently, but the owner didn't tell me exactly what the city was. But they told me that people from all across Lebanon and other parts of Western Asia mainly travel to the city just to try the bread. And because I had actually thought it was Georgian bread when I first went in there, that it might be somewhat of a Georgian themed restaurant, as well as maybe a mix of certain cuisines from Eurasia, or that part of Eastern Asia. Oh, I'm getting my sentences jumbled up. That part of Eurasia, Eastern Europe, extending from that portion of Russia into Georgia, and then Western Asia and the Middle East. But apparently not. It does look, it has a similar appearance though to a Georgian style bread that I can't remember the name of right now. But it was fantastic. I had it with a sujuk and some vegetables. They had grilled it for me, and it was amazing. So along Gravel Monty Road, I encourage you to go check them out. And right here, actually, it's coming up to the northern end of the district where the public library is, as well as a convenience store with an incredibly impressive mural on it, which I actually didn't know for maybe about a couple days me staying here. I didn't actually pay close enough attention. I didn't know that that was a mural. I actually thought that was the design of the building in terms of its brickwork, but no, it's painted. Let me actually zoom in so you can get a better look at it. It's all painted along the ways. So, it's supposed to show there's some very incredible, I guess you would call it just cityscape painters and designers for whoa, nearly tripped there. Designers for different portraits or artistic paint creations. You know what the hell I mean. God, thank you, psychosomatic anomic aphasia. That is really needed right now, and dysphagia. Oh, very talented and very nice. And we're at the public fountain again, which I'm sure you saw the clip before. And oh my god, okay. Yep, there's the strawberry scent again. It looks like yet another person has thrown bubble bath into it. And this is even more than last time. Holy shit. No, this is not a cleaning agent for the damn fountain. Most cleaning agents I know of that are absolutely toxic and horrendous for the environment and you to actually touch or breathe in, they don't smell like this. They smell very, It's a good way to describe them. Well, many of them are, I guess, chlorine-based agents, so if you know the smell of chlorine, I guess times that by 3. But, yeah. This is, oh, and it, oh, I think someone actually put it right in the second level of it, and it's just been dripping downwards. So someone would have had to lean over or actually step into the fountain to do that. Yeah, it's filling up. Okay. Oh, and I guess I'll just talk about this place here. Le Mitian, I believe it's called. It's a restaurant, and it's easily a place that as I've noticed, especially in the late hours, that caters to an elitist crowd. I haven't gone inside it myself, but I've seen those going in and out of it, and I've seen, well, while I'm passing by it, some glimpses of the inside, and when I looked at images of it online, and of the food, well, they do that thing that I have no clue why it is common. Well, no, I know why it's never mind, I know why it's common in elitist culture. It's performative, and it's done out of an attempt to seem more elegant. They're a restaurant that serves highly small portions of food. Small proportions. And they decorate it in this way to make it look like an art piece, basically. Overselling it, as far as I'm concerned, in this encroachingly histrionic fashion, to try and just appease those of, well, their clientele. And it's ridiculous. But, so yeah, I would not recommend that you eat at this place. It's not a small business. They rake in clearly mass profit. Very clearly. But let me just get down a ways here to, well, actually first, before I go down the road, I kind of want to see that overflow. I want to see what the reaction will be. I don't want it to go into the surrounding plant life, but, well, there's not much you can do right now. Just all you can do is wait till it dissipates. This very, very neatly designed church. It's very old in style. It doesn't look like it's been renovated that much in any sort of way. I haven't been inside it because it's been closed every time that I've tried to get in. But, it's very much an English style. I believe it's a Baptist church, is it? I can't really see from here. It might be Baptist. But, it's very nice architecture. And it's also got a cemetery behind it that I have been using most often from where I'm camped out, right over behind there in that forest, to just get to and from this section of the northern end. Okay, let me get down a ways. So this place here, Chantilly, is actually a donut shop, a donut bakery, and a cafe. So it's a donut cafe. And I got some donuts from them yesterday, and they were delicious. And they do very creative fusions of flavors with theirs. And it's very clear that they're authentically made. They don't use a high amount, at least it doesn't taste like they use a high amount of refined sugar. But they have a creme brulee flavored donut that has filling, kind of like an American Boston cream. In fact, a lot of their donuts are more Boston cream style in terms of how they're baked, which I genuinely like the filling inside of it, but not so much the coating of it. And they had a chocolate coated and filled donut, which I had this morning from the box I got. And it was good, but I felt it was too much chocolate. If it had just been like the donut batter with the filling being chocolate, it would have been a perfectly fantastic stuffed donut, but just a little too much. But overall, everything else was fine. incredibly well done. So I encourage people to go check them out as well. And here is actually what I was saying, a small, well, farming garden that these people have set up here behind this, this building. And they sell their produce out of this garage, which I bought from. I bought some just pickled items, pickled beets, sweet pickles, some pickled peppers. I don't know if they're sweet peppers or spicy. And then some mixed vegetables. And they actually, and look, if you can see here, they've converted a dirt patch in the backyard behind the concrete driveway into an actual gardening station to sell produce. And so they're called Toujours Fruits, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And this is the CEO of it. I met them yesterday. They served me at the cache. But yeah, I highly recommend that you go in here. In fact, oh yeah, well, you'll see a clip that I shot making a joke, a Breaking Bad reference, just earlier. You'll see it at the beginning of the video. Okay, so let's get up a ways, because I just want to highlight one more place. I haven't been in it, but something that I took notice of in terms of its advertisement design, not highlighting the fact that it's advertisement, but just in terms of, well, you'll see what I mean. And then I'll take you just down to my campsite. So, there's either a wedding dress themed tailor here, this place called Vizina, or it's just, well, a dress tailor that designs clothes. And I wanted to actually highlight, because I had shown something similar in Exploring Laval Part 6 in, well, Cadillac Fairview, Carrefour 4, I believe, however you pronounce it, the main shopping plaza in downtown Laval. And how I believed for a certain company, their advertisement propaganda was highly sexist and misogynistic, and it was over-sexualization, and it was clear that they did not actually care about the sexual expression of the models that they were showing. However, I don't think the same can be said here, because this isn't an expansionist business, at least as far as I can tell. If you look at it actually, well, the photography here, I don't know how well you can see it. It actually looks like that it's very minimalistic. It's not trying to be overly, what's a good word I could use? It's not trying to be overly performative and overly, it's not trying to be overly eccentric with its, well, with how the model is posing and what they're trying to actually advertise, I guess. And the way it's framed and everything, it's, again, very minimalistic. There's not a lot of, like, it seems to be actually using natural lighting. Whoever the photographer was that took the shots of this person wearing this very beautiful dress. And the dress itself, at least from these designs, looks to be more, it looks like it has Norse influence in it, as well as probably, well, definitely some amount of LGBTQ plus influence, because it is somewhat more revealing in terms of skin. And the slit in the side there on their leg, it might be more French, I guess, well, considering probably mainly Quebecois culturally themed, probably. But, well, it's very minimalistic, I'll just say. And I very much appreciate this in terms of how it's expressing actual, well, sexuality. This actually looks like genuine care was put into, well, showing this off and designing it. is what I'll say. Again, I haven't been in here, but just from the photography advertisements alone, it genuinely seems like the owners and whoever did their photography shoot, well, that they actually give a damn about cultural fashion and, well, aesthetic expression. I mean, yeah, whatever. If I get wet, so what? It's bloody hot out. And it's actually, I guess, maybe could be considered human, because it might be getting to a point of dropping some rain. But whatever, I'm going to go back to my campsite and finish eating a can of cooked peas that I had ate for breakfast, along with the donuts, or some more donuts from Gelante. And yes, I know in the last video I made I got diarrhea, most likely from eating 3 of the donuts. And right now I actually have a slightly upset stomach, some irritation in my digestive tract. That's it started maybe around midday after I ate them. Be quiet. Oh, but unfortunately, I should highlight, yes, my campsite, kind of similar to what it was when I was, where I was situated when I was leaving Vermont, is in a upper middle class area. Well, that area was more so very high-end, ultra-rich and luxurious, which I don't doubt if I go down a ways there will be very, very expensive housing units, but, well, very upper class in this area, predominantly white ethnicity, predominantly Quebecois, and that one's not any sort of, there was no slander in that. I didn't mean that in any sort of malicious way. But in terms of the disparity portion, well, I meant slander in that regard. Oh, Jesus Christ. I hope, is that a police officer? No, I don't think so. There was a car, there was actually a van parked there. My second night staying there, and I was like, shit, someone checking out my site. Because I'm actually, this time around, I'm very happy with how concealed I am. Because even down in the Pledgemont Repose neighborhood, when I was in the little marsh area, or the bog, by the Hupatin complex, well, even then, many people often walked in and out through there. As it was technically part of the park that was beside it. But not over here. I mean, there was one person who definitely went behind here just to dump, well, some lawn mulch, but that was it. I guess they were tending to their garden. I haven't had anyone else actually come back there and cook up any sort of disturbance because of my presence. At least, I'm hoping I won't have to say until now. Once I get there, maybe this car is just parked there. Let's hope this car is just parked there and not actually snooping around to cause any sort of disrupt. Because even from here, yeah, you can't. Okay, yeah, you can see Cardi B, but only their cover. And it's, well, not a whole, it's not wholly visible. Okay, This car looks empty. Ah, okay. You're a path that I never noticed. I don't know if you technically count as these people's property, but one way or another. Oh. And if any of you are curious as to how I dragged my gear back here, trust me, it was strenuous, but well worth it. As I am very much concealed back here. Despite the array of mosquitoes, it's been very peaceful. And everything, yeah, well, speak of the devil. Yep, and everything's still in order. Okay. So, let me finish those peas. And then I will see you tomorrow as I get on the road to Laval West. Well, some water treatment workers came and corrected it, but I can't tell you whether, well, I can't tell you which I'd rather prefer they have done. Just let it subside, the bubble bath, or the harsh chemicals. Both of them suck. You all viewers, you be the judges of that. Yeah. Okay, before I get moving along the road here, Principal, or Rue Principal, last place I'm going to highlight here in St. Dorothy is this small grocery store slash, well, farming land called Marché de la Ferme Engua, I think that's how you pronounce it, de Laval. So this, as I said, it's a singular grocery retailer, and all of their items are cooked fresh in here because they also have a section to bake and cook food and also meats in there. And I believe all of the food that they, well, all of their stock supply comes from this small patch of a farmyard here that's attached to, well, the portion of property that the actual building is on. And they also sell berries, I just learned, and various fruits, things of sort inside that little tent there. And they make very good quiche. I bought some a few days ago, mushroom quiche, and yes, I ate it cold, and I ate the whole thing in one day, half for breakfast and the other half for dinner. And well, I can safely say I felt sick afterwards. Eating that amount of cold quiche, especially mushroom quiche, not a wise choice on my end. But either way, all of the food seems to be very non-artificial, as I'll put it, from what I tried in there. As they also make some oatmeal cookies using actual crushed raspberries and blueberries. And both were delicious when I had them. And they're soft baked cookies. Now, granted, they did seem to use, well, Quaker Oats products for that, which is very much artificially enhanced. But either way, in that regard, most of the things that they sell seem to be very, well, freshly grown straight from here. The raspberries and, well, the berries that were in the cookies obviously were real. But, well, and at the very least, once again, it's authentically made Quebecois, mainly rural Quebecois style food that they sell. So, again, highly recommend that you go check them out. And I'm just gonna get up a ways here and then continue talking somewhat. Okay, so there's also another berry farm. Or it looks like a grocery store that specifically specializes in just selling berries or just various fruits. Okay, so despite what it may look like right now, this is not rural Jesus Island. This is still a part of the city of Laval, and specifically right up until the end of this more open farmland area, it will be part of the St. Dorothy district, and then it'll, well, just administratively go into, in terms of geographical invisible borders, the district of Laval West, which is the westernmost half of the city, if you couldn't tell by its very appropriate naming. So, interestingly enough, looking on the map from an aerial view of the island, and specifically for the... What the hell are you? You a bullet? Yeah. At least a bullet shell. I have no clue what you are, this green rubber bit at the end. You know what? I'm not gonna fiddle with you, because I don't know what you'll do. So anyway, looking at this, specifically the western end of Laval, you'll notice it's something similar to what I described Ottawa as being like when I was staying in the capital city, but not exactly. It has, well, Laval in the western end has a very large amount of green patches that almost, similar to Ottawa, almost seem to divide up its, well, a few of its districts, but not quite. Whereas Ottawa, at least 3 of them, Canada, Nepean, Barhaven, and Orleans, very clearly were divided up by large stretches, or a bit of a lengthy stretch of forested area or farming lands within the city. So it's not quite on par with Ottawa's geographical setup, but well, it's just very interesting. Now, looking from an aerial view, because I haven't been down this way yet, there are some more farm facilities up a ways along this road, and I don't know if they are some amount factory farms or involved with factory farming. I sincerely hope not, but I wouldn't doubt it, as I'm sure members of very much mega corporate grocery enterprises within Quebec and Canada have probably bought up a large slew of the land around here. Maybe some of them actually just lease out, or maybe some of those who are of upper middle to very high-end wealthy class, financially living in the more urban areas of St. Dorothy, have bought up portions of land out here and just lease it out to grow crops on to various small business farms or family-owned farms in the area. or maybe even some smaller farmers living off of Jesus Island on the mainland of Quebec, on the outskirts of the greater Montreal area, and they take a share of their profit. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't doubt it. Now, why I'm taking this route, as there is more urban areas, specifically in southern St. Dorothy, that connect to Laval West. Well, why I'm taking it instead of those routes in the south half, because frankly, I'm a little tired of seeing ultra-rich architectural atrocities. So I'm gonna just keep on avoiding them for now. And before I cut the footage, because getting into, I'll just state right now, this video is gonna be, I'm gonna make it the second to last exploring Laval video. This will be part 8. I will be going, as I've stated, making my way back around the island. I will be going into Laval West, then into the Fabreville district, then back to St. Rose, and then I'll be going into the Auteuil district, then back into Vermont, then back down into Pont-Vieux, then over into Duvernay, I believe is how you pronounce it, and then yeah, I will be heading out of Laval, crossing over a connecting bridge and into Montreal. So that'll conclude my adventures here in the city for now, once I do that. And I'm hoping to get there to the connecting bridge at least by June 20th, and at most maybe June 25th. But anyway, so I'm just gonna say, me showcasing the districts of Laval West, Fabreville, and Auteuil. I don't even think I'm going to showcase Auteuil. I haven't been there yet, but I'll just leave those explorations for my own sites without recording them. And then Fabreville and Laval West, I'm just going to take quick snippets of the area just to showcase, and then get on my way. Because while I'm in Laval West or Fabreville, one of the two, there's 2 other videos that I want to make. Hopefully that'll be rather quick, because I just have some things I'd like to discuss. But anyway, yeah, that's just how the rest of this video is going to be cut up. But I'll address this as I said it yesterday when I was showcasing that little art book on Laval. There, I pointed out a road in the St. Rose district that I had recognized the name of, and I said I'd talk about it, so I quickly will. If you recall back to exploring Laval Part 1, the burnt abandoned house slash restaurant that is known as House 265, and my post in the communities tab, the community tab that I had made about it, and the possibility of insurance fraud and all the works. Well, I've continued to do research on it, as much research as I can, and interestingly enough, one of the addresses in the taxation documents I found in the dining room area, it had that road as an address for, well, I guess one of the names listed in the documents. And so I typed in the address onto Google Maps. But interestingly enough, the address doesn't seem to actually exist. Or at the very least, well, it's, when I typed in, so from the looks of it, that road, Des Rues Patriots, I believe it's called, it's just a subdivision of, well, one of the suburbs in St. Rose, off of St. Rose Boulevard. It's not too far from House 265. But when I put in the actual address, it landed me on just what would be this, just the side of the road that was kind of in between two houses that had numbers ranging, or address numbers ranging close to what I had typed in, but not quite. Which I thought, that's odd. Quite odd. So, I then decided to look at some of the other addresses that were on the documents that I had taken photos of. And I typed in another one. I forget what exactly the numbers were, but it also was an address that just seemed to not exist. Once again here in Laval, but it literally took me to the middle of a highway, a major road, like highway, major road, whichever one you want to call it. I think it's maybe just technically a major road, but it took me smack in the middle of this majorly trafficked roadway in Fabreville. And once again, I thought, that's very, very odd. And then I typed in another address, and it actually did take me to a building unit. And then I typed in another, if I'm recalling correctly, when I did so, last I tried actually placing in the addresses to Google Maps. And it took me to a building unit as well, but the building unit, when I looked on the actual, like, a street view of it, seemed to be vacant. So, if I'm using my detective skills here, what I have of them, I guess, either maybe there was a misinput with some of the, well, taxation work in terms of living space or renting space information, or whoever filled out some of the documentation or jotted down certain address information on the various notepads that were scattered in along with the documents, they just falsified addresses. They just made them up and just picked a number that would vaguely take you to just a residential area that was maybe close by to House 265, or, well, just maybe someone, if, say, a maybe CRA official looked over them, or a employee of a banking company looked over it, they might just say, oh, okay, seems fine enough. Listed here. All right, you're good with whatever you're doing. So that is very interesting. And once I get into West Laval, or Fabreville, I am going to try and make some calls via payphone. I was going to do it in St. Dorothy, but the payphone, the main one and the only one I could find, it was broken. And by broken, I don't mean like it had faulty wiring and it wasn't in operation. I quite literally mean the phone, the cord phone, part of it was literally snapped off and broke out. That was a cloud of them. It was broken. So, yeah, hopefully I can find a payphone in Laval West, and thankfully, I don't know what good this will do me some amount of good for making calls, but I'd like to try and make 5 calls, and right now, in my pocket, I've got 2 toonies, so $4. So let's hope I can make at least 4 calls to some of the phone numbers that were written out on the documentations. Okay, I'm gonna get up ways again, and then I'll keep yammering on. Probably. Well, I have absolutely no clue what's going on here. But, oh, actually, is there a wreck? I certainly hope not. Oh. Best of luck to those people dealing with the police. And I hope it's nothing terrible. Okay, so I'm officially in Laval West, outside another restaurant called, well, Chunbo. It's called Mason Chunbo. I don't think it has, though, affiliation to the restaurant Chunbo that I visited in St. Martin. Okay, so just to wrap up what I was saying there in the last clip, hopefully I'll be able to somewhat conclude my investigations of House 265 for my last few days here in Laval. And if not entirely, well, then I'll do what I can in terms of research and investigation in Montreal once I get there. And maybe a bit once I get into Longueuil too. As well as, I'm going to put my little investigations of the gang activity here in Laval on hold until I get into Montreal, because again, as I've mentioned before in previous videos, I think that... Okay, yeah, it is something probably not very good. Okay, I'll see what's going on here in a second. Anyway, I'll continue all those investigations from a distance once I get into Montreal if I don't conclude, specifically with House 265, and maybe as well regarding to Cité de la Santé Hospital, though I'm going to pay them another visit once I get back into Vermont one more time. Well, I'll do what I can to investigate it from a distance in Montreal, and if I don't conclude, well, what I want to satisfactorily, well, then that's where my endeavors in that are going to have to end for now. But, so, yeah, okay. I'm just going to see what's going on here and then get up a ways into the actual district further. So, on the menu tonight is a veggie sandwich consisting of lettuce leaves, chickpeas from a can, and, well, Hawaiian yeast buns that I got from that grocery store at the edge of St. Dorothy. And it's pretty damn good, I do say so myself. It's simple and bloody well nutritious. So, yeah, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this. I just wanted you to get a look at my magnificent makeshift cooking skills. You know, I have to ask myself, who is this built for? So, if this is just a public park, but obviously most of the structures are meant for children to play on, young kids, and most likely roughly around the ages of maybe like what, between 4 and 7 or 5 and 10. So most of them probably wouldn't be able to reach this randomly placed steering wheel, or even this thing right here, which I guess is just supposed to be some sort of very easy to figure out sliding puzzle. Well, at least easy enough if you have a well enough functioning prefrontal cortex. And also, just slight detraction, 1, 2, 3, R. Why? Why not 4? You made it convoluted for no reason. So, given the height of this, I could only think that this would be able to be used by older children, maybe like, I don't know, around 12 or 15, average height. Okay, well, no, maybe about here, like, maybe 8 to 10 could reach this, but be like at face level to them. But other than that, I don't get it. And it's for anyone of higher height in that age range. Well, let me give you a demonstration of how fun it seems to be. At least for me, that is. The year was 1778. Oh, I wish I was in Sherbrooke now. Get a pint of Guinness and a gal or two, and you yak, I don't know the rest of the words. What shall we do about a drunken sailor? What shall we do about a drunken sailor? What shall we do about a drunken sailor early in the morning? This was probably very unnecessary to film, but I did it. So, the weather for today called for half sunny and half severe thunderstorms scattered throughout the day. My ass. Which you might be thinking, well, Cam, isn't that a good thing? It normally would be. If I hadn't wanted to maybe try actually taking a shower in the rain, instead of trying to locate a gym within Laval West. And interestingly enough, in this woodland area that's once again in the suburbs. It's just a few houses, as you might be able to see down a ways there. Oh, there's quite a few makeshift wooden teepees constructed, or at least they're in the design of North American indigenous teepee design or structure. But there's at least 3 of them. I didn't notice that one until this morning, and I've placed my tent right beside a smaller one. This one looked convenient enough to shower in the rain, as it would allow for water to get in, and it would be rather concealed for the most part. These aren't the first ones I've actually found. There's also one just down a ways, closer to the edge of this little nature park. And then there was also one in the woods of the park that I was sleeping in for a bit, in St. Dorothy. Which, oh yeah, I should address that. The pile of logs at the beginning of the video. So, the amount of large branches that were on the grass that had very clearly been cut down, that were from that decaying tree in the park that I was sleeping in. Yeah, take a guess who cut those down? This person. And it took me about maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to do, and I did it closer to the evening hours. I was getting bitten alive by various little critters, and I was also, for half of it, on a phone call with some people, just talking, all the while utilizing my hatchet, my trusty little axe that I had cut down the trees that were in my path with when I was leaving Thurso, Quebec, in that provincial park. Same one. And it worked like a charm. But after the amount you saw in that clip, I decided it was getting too late, too many mosquitoes, and I was going to turn in for the night. And then the next morning, as I'm getting out of my tent, a city worker came up to me and said that, you planning on staying here much longer? Because me and my crew are scheduled to come in and remove this fallen tree from the park, because it was on a baseball diamond. And I was like, oh no, I'm not planning on staying here too many more days. And I actually said I can move if you want, but they didn't really answer me. I don't think they understood English very well. But I told them that I was the one who had cut down these branches. And I had just done it out of, hold on a sec. Can you see them? You see them right there. If I can actually zoom in on them, where are they? Can I get them in the focus of the camera? Ah, there they are. Little frog or toad. Oh yeah, yeah, actually you look like a toad. Oh, nice to meet you. Very much blending with the leaves. Well hidden. Well, I'm not going to disturb your hiding spot. Little friend, enjoy your day. So anyway, I told them that, and they were just like, yeah, I see you did. We were going to come in with chainsaws to get rid of the rest. And I had, if you're asking why I had done it, is because I wanted to, actually help out the community a bit. and hey, would give the city workers a hand. I believe they were commissioned from, well, they weren't well, I saw a truck, it was branded as a Laval municipal vehicle, but I don't believe the workers were an independent company, a landscaping company that had been hired out by the city. I believe they were actual, well, landscapers, part of the municipal government, most likely the environmental protections ministry. I believe it's called the environment. Yeah, it would be. It's probably the same as the provincial governments and federal. But anyway, so the communal worker just said, well, we're going to be starting in a little while, so you might want to move your things. And they went back over to the other edge of the baseball diamond. And as I'm about to start packing up, oh joy of joys, right as the municipal worker leaves, who comes rolling up but the police. 2 police officers, which very clearly they didn't just coincidentally come rolling up. It's clear that they were just waiting off to the side somewhere for the municipal worker to get done talking with me so that they could come and talk to me. Because way too convenient of timing. And I just didn't see them wherever they were standing by when I was talking to the first fella. So they rolled up, and they were very nice officers, I will say that. In fact, they were probably the nicest officers I've ever interacted with. Even more so than, well, the group of them that I had encountered when I was in St. Rose. So, and absolutely far more than those who kicked me out of the park or told me I would have to leave in the morning in Vermont. Oh yeah, just remembered. I was going to talk about that in a video. More in depth. Why not make it this one? Okay, so, but I'll do that later. Anyway, they asked me how I was doing, what I was doing, where I was from, all the rest. Gave them the same information I've given every other officer. This time, though, they didn't ask for any ID, which was nice. They provided it, but they didn't. So, and they actually recommended that, well, they tried thinking of spots that I could sleep in the district, because they thought, well, here in Laval we don't have too many green patches, which isn't true, but I guess maybe they were just talking about St. Dorothy, which also isn't true, but either way, they... Okay. The honking of a clown horn is over. So, they thought maybe in the northern end there'd be more green patches, and from looking on the map, yes, there absolutely was. But they said, like, if you try sleeping anywhere in, like, these parks, like, just public parks, most likely someone's going to report you, and, well, we don't want you to get found by us, because most likely it'll cause you a problem. And I was like, yeah, that'd be very true. And they just said, well, no rush to pack up your things or anything, but the workers will probably have to come in at some point soon and just start clearing this out. And by the way, I had also asked the municipal worker if they wanted a hand with removing the rest of the logs, and they were just like, oh, no, I think we have it. We got it covered. But not even really a thank you for cutting down those branches. And so I ended up packing up my things and then leaving. So as far as I'm concerned, those officers seem to be more so indoctrinated into the belief of legalism, and also public protectionism, or, well, communal protection. The idea of it through systematic enforcement. But, so anyway, that really says something to me, because when I was actually cutting down the branches, there were just residents of the local neighborhood walking. I guess whoever is driving that car is late to the circus, and they're getting very frustrated with the other vehicles in front of them. So getting very short-tempered. Okay, so there were residents who were passing by the park who saw me very clearly chopping down the branches, because it was loud enough, just going back and forth, and clearly I hadn't been reported any other day that I had been there, and I had been staying there for, at that point, a total of 4 days. So, that really says a lot, and that area, in terms of the surrounding area to the park, seemed to be standardized middle-top or middle class overall. So one half of that, if it was someone of standardized middle class who reported me, that shows me, well, societal trauma or indoctrination. And if it was the upper middle or someone of that class status, well, that also shows me psychological trauma yet again, and also just all in all, completely ungratefulness towards someone actually trying to help out. I genuinely was trying to do something beneficial for the community in just a small way. I wasn't going to do anything with the logs other than throw them where I had been throwing them so that the city workers could just take them away. They still would have had to do a job of some kind if people are arguing, because I remember I was talking to one of my friends like, well, yeah, but, and they were somewhat joking, but yeah, they're city workers. They had nothing to do otherwise. They already don't help out much. So, true enough, at least to a major degree as far as I'm concerned. But just, like, literally, they would have still had to haul away the logs. I would have just sectioned it off for them and made it easier for them. But, oh well, wow, that's a really bad lens flare. Okay, I'm going to eat breakfast, finish off the chickpeas from yesterday, and then see maybe if I can find a place to shower here in the district. And if not, I guess I'll have to wait till February. So, alright. Okay, also, just by the way, to clear up something from the last clip, just expand upon what I said. Not all indigenous North American tribes actually use the teepee style structure for building houses, or building housing units for shelter. I believe mainly it was those closer to the prairie provinces of Canada and, well, the mid-north, or what I guess would be traditionally called the Midwest of the United States, were the ones who mainly used teepee structures. But I think there are some tribal groups that had similar designs closer to Ontario, and also maybe a bit more closer to the Great Lakes, but don't quote me on that. Also, sorry if I sound a little congested. I have a hard honey and eucalyptus candy in my mouth that I got from that small little garage-based grocery store that had the farming patch in their backyard in St. Dorothy. And it is damn delicious. Works really well as a sort of like a cough drop almost, for soothing sore throats. Okay, I will be back. Cardi B and tent. Probably very, very later in the day. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but the pollen or these, well, balls of fluff that are coming off of sacks in certain trees around here, and pretty well seems all throughout the western half of Laval, are going haywire today. There's a lot in the air. I have no clue if it has to do with the massive, excuse you, I don't know if it has to do with the mass heat wave we're having, because of apparently, and I didn't know this, that there's forest fires actually going on in Quebec right now. Quite a large amount of them in the southern half. And they've been kicking up a lot of smog and debris into the air, and it's heavily been affecting northern Ontario and southern Ontario. It's made its way all the way to the GTA, and it's causing Toronto a lot of problems. I don't doubt Ottawa and Gatineau as well, but surprisingly, at least in terms of the smog, it hasn't really, at least as far as I've noticed, been affecting the greater Montreal area that much, or at the very least Laval. But if it was affecting Montreal and Longueuil, I think, well, those here in Laval would be able to notice any amount of, well, darker or more orangish tinge cloud coloration, or just air, well, just the surrounding environment going a more dingier tinge, if it was actually affecting that area. I think we'd be able to notice it here. But, well, yeah, I didn't know that. And they've been blazing out of control, and fire crews from various other countries in the world, including the United States, South Africa, Australia, England, Ireland, France, I believe, Belgium, I think Brazil as well, have been coming here to actually help put out the fires. Well, I hope they're able to. But, yeah, I just thought I'd point it out. Other than that, though, other than the massive heat that's baking down on me right now, the fluff particles in the air is actually quite beautiful, to me at least, especially when they're in mass amounts. I'll take another clip, I'll shoot another piece of recording footage back when I'm heading to my campsite again, so that you can actually get a better look at them just flowing through the air. So yeah, and unfortunately it doesn't seem like there's any sort of publicly open gym of any kind, or just any gym establishment, fitness business here in the Laval West District. Now, from the maps, there might be some sort of community arena that may have a public locker room that would in turn probably have a shower. Wow, it's a very old van. It's like what's a good way to describe it? It's definitely a van, well, a family van, or meant for family size, from the 1980s, it looks like. It's like a more rustic version of the Mystery Machine, let's go with that. But anyway, that arena might have something, so I'm gonna try and go check that out. Okay, so those are the 3 domes that you can see from back at where I'm camping. But nope, they are not a part of, well, okay, I don't think this is that arena that I was talking about. But I asked a store clerk in the area of the district that I was in, and they told me it was down this way. Now, I'm not seeing any place that really resembles something that would be typical of even a small arena, at least by Canadian cultural standards. But this is a fire station here, and they'll most definitely have showering areas in this building. So, if nothing else, I'll first maybe try and ask them if I could just go in and quickly shower. So, why not? So, shower required. So I'll just briefly sum up what happened. I ended up finding the arena after, well, asking for further directions from the employees at the fire station, as well as some mechanics working in an auto shop just down a ways in the district. And when I got there, it was completely empty. It was a hockey arena, apparently. I think it's called the Heartland something or other. It's right next to a police station. And I should also mention, I was wrong about where it was located. I thought it was located actually right in front of where that nature park that I've been staying in is. It's not. It's on the opposite side of the main stretch of road that runs through Laval West. But anyway, once I got in there, I walked down a corridor that went to more of the, employees-only areas, or for any of the team players for, hockey teams that play games there, obviously. And there were some, I guess, just either janitors working there, or they might have been doing some sort of renovations. They might have been construction workers. But I asked them if it was alright if I could have a shower, if there was a showering station in the facilities. I told them how I'm a homeless nomad and I haven't had a shower technically, 14th. Haven't had a shower in 2 weeks or so. And I was just wondering if I could have one quickly. And one of the employees, the workers, went and asked, I believe it was their superior, and they said, yep, you can, just to try and keep the place clean, and just go ahead and enjoy. And just only this one time though, because we don't want more people coming here. I guess a bit of subtle classism. They might have assumed that I was going to tell other homeless in the area that these people are giving away free showers, which, 1, I wasn't, and 2, it's degrading enough that you wouldn't allow people to come in anyway. But I digress, even if that was the case. But anyway, so I had a shower, and that was about it. And let myself dry off in there, and then I didn't see any of the workers again once I left the showering station from where I was down the corridor, and then walked out. And if there was any cameras, I just gave a wave in case there was, so if anyone saw them, just as a little thanks. And then I got a change of clothes back at my campsite. So that was great. And I ended up also on my walk around the area to try and find the arena, found another public library. run through the municipal government, obviously. I didn't actually know that there was one in Laval West, as it hadn't appeared on the map, I don't think, when I initially looked up the municipal libraries. But, well, happy enough I found it, as I got to charge my portable charger and fill up my water bottles. So, but anyway, besides that, I want to take this point in time right now, this section of the video, to talk about something in relation to my philosophies, and just something I wanted to address, because I've spoken about this moral belief somewhat here and there, and obviously in relation to my theories of intrinsic moral practicality, coming morality formation, obviously it technically relates to the inevitable formation of culture from ideology as well, but, well, oh, and the paradox of anti-moralism. So, various things of the sort. I want to just quickly, just flat out, make it clear, at least for where right now my position ideologically stands in relation to the philosophy of moral relativism, which is commonly associated with another philosophy, that being of postmodernism. Now, before I go into this, I'll state, because I had said this in, I believe it was Exploring Ottawa, part 4. Yes, part 4. It was part 4. When I was trying to pick the various amounts of fruit that were in the eastern half of the city while I was there. At the time, I didn't actually, in terms of my research of philosophy and sociology, I didn't know much entirely about the different modern isms. I didn't know much about what constituted as modernism, postmodernism, or metamodernism. And by this point in time, that's not the case. I have done furthermore research on it, and because I know that even there are some of my friends and some people that I know who definitely either identify as postmodernist or are in affiliation ideologically to the postmodernist movement. And this is going to pertain to that, because so by this point now I have become farther versed in modernism and postmodernism, but I'm not going to talk about metamodernism, because in that one I have still no clue. I haven't looked as much into metamodernism as the first two, but, well, that's for future research. What I'm going to say right now, I'm not going to mainly make the point about entirely postmodernism as a philosophical belief, but its relation just in some regard to moral relativism, as it does have connections to it, and, well, mainly moral relativism, from my understanding of it, it's very heavily rooted in the philosophy of postmodernism. And so, well, let me just cut to the chase of it. As far as I'm concerned, the ideals of moral relativism are complete crap. They're complete crap. Yeah, they're not real. They're quite literally, if you know my theory that I proposed in my scientific proposal videos of paradox of anti-moralism, and where I've talked here and there about those who identify as anti-moralist and those who identify with the belief of moralism, which I do, then I think you know my stance on moral relativism by this point. But I'm just going to make it further clear. And I want to actually debunk why, as far as I'm concerned. It's a terrible belief, and it quite literally doesn't exist, as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't exist. The idea of it exists, but how it exists, how we interact with it in ontology, everyday life, and phenomenology, doesn't exist. Not at all. So, what is moral relativism? The idea of moral relativism is, in philosophy, is that morality is completely subjective to an individual person and how they choose to act and behave in a societal setting, in a sort of social organization. Basically, how you orient yourself in terms of what you believe is justifiably right or wrong is completely up to the... It's completely based in the individual in terms of their mentality and what they perceive as being right or wrong. And in the principles of moral relativism, it is encouraged that mainly human beings stick to their own moral code in terms of the fact that they don't ideally impose other morals, someone else's morality, onto another person in a social setting in terms of what is deemed as being right or wrong, what is justifiable and what is unjust. So that's the basic idea behind moral relativist thoughts. Now, as far as I'm concerned, please go away, mosquito. Not right now. You can chow on me at a different time. So, on the surface, this sounds like another one of these things that is... It sounds like something that's generally a good idea, right? It sounds like it makes sense. It sounds like, oh, well, yeah, you shouldn't impose your beliefs onto others. You shouldn't impose horrendous authority. You shouldn't impose authority over someone else. You shouldn't subject people to, or forcefully subject people to, a standard of living or a complete standard of thought, or try and indoctrinate someone into a thought. So what's the problem here? Well, here's the problem. That's immoral. So the idea here of why moral, in my thought process, why moral relativism doesn't exist, and as far as I'm concerned, why it's a problematic, it's not just a stupid idea, it's a problematic idea, is the fact that, well, okay, let me just, let's highlight the paradox here. First, one, you quite literally putting out forth the idea that people should not interject their morality onto someone else's social behavior. That's immoral. That's literally an ethical position that you are projecting onto someone else's ideals of life. If you are telling someone that you think that that you should not be doing this, that is you imposing and asserting a moral high ground and asserting an idea of righteousness socially over someone else. Over, like, say if someone has the idea, well, no, you should be doing that. You should be saying, like, this is unjustifiable, this is wrong, provably by, say, human socialization, or psychologically what we know human beings are drawn towards, and how these actions affect someone and can have mass emotional effects and cause trauma or Say, if you're causing physical harm to someone, it's saying this is wrong. This is something that can, in most cases, be proven as being unjustifiable, unless you can maybe make the argument of self-defense to some degree. Well, you literally saying that you shouldn't be, then counteracting that with you shouldn't be imposing your morality onto someone else. Well, you're literally imposing your morality onto someone else. You're literally telling them you should not be saying that, or you should not be thinking in the ways of calling psychological abuse or physical abuse harmful, because you're imposing morality. That's literally, you're imposing your moral idea onto someone else. It's a paradox. It doesn't work. To say that you, quite literally, let's look at linguistics and philosophy, to just say you should be doing, you should, or thinking that I should be doing this, that's morality. You can't escape that. So that's the paradox there, as far as I'm concerned, and that's in the relation to the philosophy of moralism, where you do believe that you should be asserting a moral or a moral belief in what you feel is justifiable, and telling others of this in terms of projecting what you feel others should be doing in a given situation, what is right and wrong, and what is provably detrimental or beneficial. The basic idea of moralism. That's the paradox there in relation to anti-moralism, of not asserting any sort of moral stance over someone else. Can't be done. But now, going away from the unnecessary, as far as I'm concerned, contradiction of it. Why on another level, moral relativism, I think, is problematic, is because of the very fact that there is provably better morals. Very much so. So, as far as I'm concerned, morality does not mean something that is beneficial. Obviously not, at least as far as I'm concerned by this point. I used to somewhat, in terms of my semantics, well, if you know my earlier stuff, I would maybe hold a bit of the idea that morality are oriented around things that are more beneficial. That's not true. Morality is in the basis of people's individual ideals, or their own ethical compasses, cognitively, is, well, it doesn't mean something. It can be different for each person in terms of what they come to, in terms of either critical thought, or if they've endured traumatization, this has influenced their thought process to disorderly fashion, or indoctrination, or anything else of the sort, incognition. But so, well, anyway, why I think it's problematic in that sense. I was just trying to, I think I combined the word stance and sense, but in that sense, we have proof that there is more beneficial ways to act socially. We do, as far as I'm concerned. Like, let me give an example here. If I was to give an example here in capitalism, landlording. If I was to lease out my place to, if I had privatized property, to a tenant who was very strapped for finance, but I demanded that every month they pay me $800 on the dot. And they had to scrape by at whatever job they were maintaining to just keep up with my demands for billing in terms of rent. Well, and this is causing mass psychological distress for the tenant, person renting the place, mass anxiety, severe, this could also culminate in bouts of depressive episodes, and constantly just making them fearful of where they're going to have housing, because with their finances they might not be able to afford another place. So morally, I'm condoning in my behavior. I feel, well, it's justifiable for me to take this money from them and to demand that every month you pay me this amount, no excuses. This, as far as I'm concerned, can be proven as being immoral, because we can see how this is affecting the tenant psychologically. On an ideological level, in terms of societal structuring, this creates a monopoly. It creates monopolization over the tenant. By me, I now have financial superiority over them and financial control over them. I have the authority in this dynamic, this social relationship, and I control all aspects, policies of what goes into what I demand be maintained in terms of their living space, so that they keep living there, including financial transactions. As far as I'm concerned, this can be proven to be completely unethical. It's detrimental overall in this dynamic, not just for the tenant, but also for the psychological health of the landlord, because they have this notion of securitization, and which is overall, as far as I'm concerned, highly antisocial, and they clearly have some amount of sociopathic tendencies in this regard. Let's say maybe they have sociopathic personality disorder, and they lack empathy for those that are their renters, and also are highly egotistical and very much only thinking about their own sense of self in this regard, and also, well, have a higher sense of self-importance, clearly. This disrupts their socialization with other human beings, which, as far as I'm concerned, must be very lonely in terms of not a subconscious sense, but a conscious sense as well, in terms of their daily activities. Must be causing mass disrupt for them. Maybe they also clearly have internalized depression in that regard, if so. So, all in all, this ideology, this idea of capitalist idealism, I'll talk more about that in a different video. This idea that this is morally right for me to do if I was doing this to... Okay, fine, fill up and then leave, please. If I was doing this to a tenant under under the economic control I have, immoral. So, in this regard, moral relativism isn't real. It doesn't work. And to tell if the tenant then told me, enough of this, I've had enough of you treating me like this completely. It's degrading, it's dehumanizing, and it's destructive to me. Like if they got into an argument with me. Well, now that's them projecting their morality onto me, and the idea that they think that this is unjustifiable. you are doing to me. So, both ways, it doesn't work. And in this regard as well, yes, I am a moral realist. There's the opposing philosophy to moral relativism is moral realism. So I'm a moral realist, meaning that there are, holding the belief that there are definitely provably more beneficial and more detrimental morals to have, and morality has a concrete effect metaphysically and physically on us all. So how I interact with someone else socially and what I deem to be righteous will affect someone else. And well, yeah, this is what relates to all of it, to all of our socialization, our pro-socialization. Now, again, I've said before, I don't believe in intrinsic moral obligations. We're not born with, unless, again, you're counting technically in relation to 5 inherent human desires, or in my theories, and interactive loneliness and biological thanatophobia. If you're counting those innate survival instincts as morals, I guess technically there could be intrinsic morality within human nature, technically, but we're not born with the conceptual knowledge of technically, I guess, right and wrong, or what we deem to be right and wrong. That is crafted, as far as I'm concerned, and will further, even if we were to some degree, it will further develop in relation to coming morality formation based on our environmental settings. So, now, in this regard, I'll relate this to postmodernism. This is a very tantalizing idea to postmodernists, this idea of not projecting one's moral stances over another person, as we've seen technically in terms of those who have mass authoritarianism. It's spread across the globe. And in relation to, say, colonialism or imperialism, and also, well, technically, and monarchy and theocracy and things of the sort, we've seen how, or heteronormativity, whatever else, we've seen the subjugation and oppression of various demographics from what seems to be imposing morality, right? Well, no. Well, yes, but in relation to this isn't the... okay, no. Go for my arms. Not my face, please, right now. I just told you to please go for my arm. Watch, you're gonna come back. No? Are you going for my neck? Oh, you're going for somewhere on me. I don't know where. Okay, anyway. Yes, this is opposing morality in a dictatorly fashion. But that's the thing. In a societal construct in terms of legalities in a governmental system or an economic system, or in terms of religious organization, what is dictated by a religious entity onto a community. This is authoritarianism, and this is not okay. So these entities are imposing morality, yes, but here's the thing: imposing morality, as far as I'm concerned, in a social sense, is not inherently authoritarian, technically. Again, though, if we're going to go look at the paradox of existence, technically maybe you could count it as such, but for a more simplified answer right now, it's not inherently authoritarianism. This idea that claiming you shouldn't be imposing what you feel to be right and wrong over other people as a reaction to oppression, as far as I'm concerned, is an example of extreme counteraction. It's not a genuinely beneficial conclusion to a horrible problem, because as literally, again, the idea of literally the cultural ideals and also what is socially acted upon, what was socially acted upon by various, and still is by various, oppressed demographics in high amounts in society all across the world, and has been for centuries. Even that is also morality. That's their cultural morality, or what they believe is, whether there is genuine proof behind it or not, it's still a moral that various people within these demographics hold. And the idea that you should not be subjugating these demographics, again, is a moral in and of itself. That's moral realism right there. And also moralism. And in relation to that, for postmodernism, really as a whole, so it sort of formed from my own research, it seemed to have formed out of, obviously, the mass oppression, right-wing oppression that occurred during the modernist movement, mass amounts of, well, during the 1950s, this massive praise and idealization of the westernized culture of the globe during the spread of so-called capitalistic individualism and objectivism, and basically claiming, and also this idea of white cultural superiority, especially rooted in most of Western Europe, and especially England at the time, and the United States, Canada, and Australia. This okay, I don't know where you're going. This modernist ideal came out of that era of the 1950s. Heavily oppressive as far as I'm concerned. And postmodernism was the reaction to that. After a while, this idea of highly revolves around this idea of breaking down the confines that have kept a lot of the world in place in terms of Westernism that has spread over centuries. And one thing that's highly prevalent in that, which is a principle of analysis, sort of, in the philosophy that is I completely disagree with, and I really just think it's stupid overall. The idea of the breakdown of social constructs. So, and I've talked about this to some degree before in my video when I made an Ottawa, how social constructs are not innately problematic. They're not inherently destructive. Because a lot of what came out of the movement heavily related back, yes, to various cultural traditions that have been done millennia ago by various demographics, various ethnic groups, that were that didn't recognize, say, or well, technically didn't have confined labeling for certain ideas that are, or certain, well, that's why it's a paradox, constructs that have existed always. It didn't concretely title them or give them any sort of communicative distinction, I guess I'll say, like in terms of writing, in terms of any sort of, or naming, just, well, yeah, naming, labels. But the thing is, even though they may not have given them distinct titling, just the very fact that these were expressed in a society and had knowledge of these things and were recognized by various people groups for centuries, these different ideals, that's a social construct in and of itself. That's still a recognition of a social construct. Just because you don't label something doesn't mean the construct disappears. Like, so it's a really flimsy ideal. But I know why it happened, as a reaction to the oppression, obviously. And, well, in this regard, what seems to happen a lot of times in relation to whenever, in postmodernist thought, whenever there's a discussion about race or ethnic identity or sexuality or gender, physiological gender orientation, or a persona and gender expression identity, or religious practice and ideals, or language variance, or whatever else. Whenever these discussions come up in relation to breaking down, in postmodernist thoughts, whenever the discussions come up to breaking down these ideas that have been constructed, even though they have always been constructed as long as human beings have had the capability for critical thought, as far as I've witnessed, that's as far as the conversation seems to go, at least amongst most of those who have been considered postmodernist intellectuals. And from my own research, this includes certain individuals, the term intellectual I use lightly. And, but, so this is my thing. This is like, so when talking about these things and this idea of breaking down social constructs, that's kind of just where postmodernism ends with its discussion, really. It's just like, oh, now anyone who identifies as philosophically as a postmodernist, please share your thoughts on this in the comments, or correct me if I've misinterpreted something in your opinion. But it seems to just go like this. This is a social construct. This is how it's come about. Problems that have come about through it, all genuine. You have absolute spot on points there. And this is mainly why we've chosen to categorize these ideas in these specific ways. Again, spot on. And then that's where the conversation ends. Like, just kind of saying that this is a thing. And either full stopping it, or saying, and it shouldn't be that way because, well, having constructs for things, or like saying this is a thing, well, that's confining it to something, and it's inboxing it, basically. That's a very narrow view as far as I'm concerned, and that's not true. Just because you have a labeling for something, a name, in the philosophical school of thought of descriptivism, which, as far as I'm concerned, again, with human capacity for thought, is something that human beings will innately go towards, psychologically, and wanting to have an understanding in our relation to our desire for understanding, giving something a concrete, way of description, which is literally a part of linguistic study. And it's part of language communication. Just because you give something a label does not mean it is solely in box to it. You can have... Why a lot of people, and again, another reason I think this idea has caught mass attention is because of the idea that, because of what we've witnessed of so many of the far right and the far left, and as far as I'm concerned, the extremist centrists as well, taking on these, what I guess would be called in most of political discourse as identity politics, technically. This idea of assigning your entire ego and sense of self and basing your what you attribute to your personality as being confined in these labels, basically these ideas that are described in one or a few words. Well, that's a problem. Yes, that's a big problem. I don't at all think you should assign identities into, I don't think you should, not identities, I don't think you should assign language labeling to your entire sense of identity at all, and sense of self. Obviously not. At least consciously you shouldn't. Subconsciously that can take form, and obviously, as far as I'm concerned, to some degree, subconsciously it will happen, because we all have unconscious biases. It's been proven in psychological studies. But point being, consciously, what you're aware of, I don't think, just because you call yourself something, and just say, I typically identify as this, or I'm this, or I am more aligned with this belief. That, you shouldn't consciously be assigning that to your entire view of yourself as a person. Just as far as I'm concerned. And to further highlight the contradictions here, identifying as a postmodernist is an identity, and the idea of postmodernism is a social construct in and of itself. Now, I guess I've looked more as well to the idea of post-structuralism, which I guess my philosophies are more in line with than postmodernism. I don't at all obviously identify as postmodernist or modernist. I absolutely despise, from what I've looked up of it, modernism, and I am not favorable to postmodernism, or at least most of what it describes. The stuff I agree with, obviously, and what it highlights, but I think I just disclosed all that. But I guess post-structuralism, which has been in relation conflated with, rightfully so in many regards, with postmodernism, but I think, based on its principles, I more so align with the viewpoints of post-structuralism, mainly in the idea of, the idea that the idea that social constructs can't change or can't evolve in some way, or at the very least that it shouldn't be completely confined to just what we, solely describe, I guess, in terms of linguistic traits. But again, that's just somewhat of, at least from what I know of post-structuralist thought, that's more of where I'm leaning towards with this. At least my ideals right now. So I just wanted to state that quick. Moral relativism is complete nonsense, and it's not real, and it really annoys me whenever it's in relation to the theories I've concocted now. really, really annoys me, this idea that people have of it. And moral realism is real, and it is actually truthful. So, yeah. Oh, and I guess I'll just quickly state here as well, as I want to get back to my campsite now that it's dark. What happened yesterday, because I didn't actually talk about it, it slipped my mind, with that scene at that intersection in the lower end of Laval West. A crash of some kind did happen, yeah. I went over to just watch from a distance, and they took whoever was the passenger, or, well, the driver of the vehicle, away in an ambulance. The wreck it didn't look like it was that severe of a crash. It just looked like a bit of damage to their front end of their car. So, and they weren't, the paramedics in the ambulance weren't blaring the sirens going down the road when they left. So, most likely what happened, it seems, was that they couldn't tell upon initial viewing whether they could have maybe sustained a concussion, or maybe some sort of fracturing of the bones, or maybe broken any bones, potentially, or any other potential injuries. So they just recommended that they take them to Cité de la Santé Hospital, you know, all the way on the opposite end of the damn city, to get it, the issue resolved. Or maybe they took them into a hospital in Montreal, because sometimes that's had to happen, from what I've further found out. So yeah, that's just what happened. I didn't end up asking the paramedics themselves or the officers what had happened, or if there was any issues that I could maybe be of any assistance to, because it seemed like they were, well, it seemed like it didn't look like I needed to get involved, at least from what I could tell. Oh, yes. Also, I'm just going to say this right now. 68. Not 68. That already has happened. 69. 69 books I will be writing. Yes, once again I thought of an idea for a novella. Another one. This one fictional, and this one is also a pornographic story, in relation to what I had said in my stories from my travels, or my tales from my travels video, that I want to attempt to make certain pornographic stories, fictional ones. So, let's hope that'll be the last one. And the only reason this one has come into existence is because, well, I had more ideas that I wasn't going to, well, in the way I was structuring the writing style of this, the idea for this story that I'm coming up, well, this book that I'm coming up with the titles for. It's a collection of short stories. The only reason that it exists because I had more that I wanted to actually get written down. So, anyway, I will, you know, when I get into Montreal, I will discuss in depth in a video, because I've been planning to do this, but I'll just state it now. In depth, mass amounts of conclusions that I've come to in terms of my perception of life. I think it summed it up in many regards through my scientific proposal videos, everything else I've talked about in my exploring, well, right now exploring Gatineau and Laval, being here in Quebec, the videos that I've made, all of it. But something's on my mind that I want to concretely say, and I want to dedicate a video to it. Well, that's all I'm going to say for now. I'll be heading out of Laval West tomorrow, so hopefully that goes relatively smoothly. Good night. So, the weather forecast today was also severe thunderstorms with some amount of scattered sun showers, plus thunderstorms. And considering I woke up to a bright and shining sun, with it being fairly hot, nearly the same temperature as yesterday, I thought, okay, the weather report on the weather app I have on my phone is lying to me again. So I'm going to let my sleeping gear just dry out in my tent, all nice and laying out. And I'm also going to leave the main flap of one of my tent doors open, with just the netting protecting it. So then I went to eat something at a local restaurant, and also do some things just online in Wi-Fi, which I'm very happy about the results of said things that I did, because I got an issue I was having resolved. And then I looked behind me about halfway through my meal, and I'm like, because there was a window behind me, oh shit, those are cumulonimbus clouds in the distance. Yeah, at some point I should, once I'm done eating here, go back to my site and just close it up. And then I get lost in what I was doing online, look back, and it's downpouring like mad, which I have a feeling is about to happen again in just a few seconds. And I was like, mentally, I was like that. Not out loud. But I wanted to. And then I thought, should I go back? Should I dash back through the rain to try and close it up? And I was like, you know what? No. And okay, that's not thunder. For a second I thought it was. I thought, no. It's futile. But just to quickly showcase, because I came back to the public library because there's something else that I want to do, and whoa, raindrop on the lens again. That's an interesting effect. Similar thing happened in Lachute. But at the bench that I was sitting at last night, well, take a look at the very creative tag work that's been done. We got and this was here last night too. I just thought I'd showcase it. We got what looks like a penis bong or a penis blunt. Maybe it's a fusion between the two, I don't know. We've got cleavage and a navel area, of course. Saika West Side Hega. I have no clue what that means. Sorry if that's offensive to anyone. Salope, okay. Hangman, a skeleton, a bong, an actual bong, marijuana, the N-word, 3 Z's, PMC, and Wagner. I don't know what that means either. Sorry again if that's genuinely offensive to someone. Smoke weed every day. Dope dip dip someone who I don't think has long for this earth. Shrooms. I think a police baton. And an array of various designs of Nazi swastikas. Because, yeah, that's inviting. Done, obviously, by either just some deviant individuals who don't give a damn about what it symbolizes, and we're just trying to create obscene imagery of some kind just for the hell of it, or genuinely do hold Naziist ideals, and I guess thought this would be a fine enough way of showcasing that. Oh, and another blunt. So, all very, very interesting. Oh, and we've got here 5 Laval Russie D to Ukraine. So I think this is showing, supposed to be in some form showing solidarity for Ukraine at the moment. So, you take that as, you take this as you will. Okay, I'm going. Well, what's damp is gonna be damp, so nothing I can do about that. It'll dry out again, but it had just gotten dry from, well, the previous few nights. I also said, well, I know I said I'd promise to, I didn't promise, but I said I would show the very pretty fluffs that were bursting from the pods of some of these trees, blowing through this nature path area. But, well, obviously not today. Maybe in February I'll get some shots of it if it's still, well, if it's still happening. Oh, well, there's a very pretty bird for you. I've seen that type of bird with the red wings and the slight yellowish tinge on the edge of the orange patch of their bodies in Ontario as well as now here in Quebec. I have no clue what kind of bird they are, but damn, are they gorgeous. Okay, you know what? Oh, and a rabbit. Okay. When I got, actually interestingly enough, I got back here in the dark last night, so I was using my flashlight to get around the paths here. And when I got back to Cardi B in my tent, very clearly someone had been looking through Cardi B. I don't know if they touched the tent, but, well, the tarp was left strewn about, just open. My cooking wok and fire bucket had been moved. I don't want to run into you. Or you. Okay, that's one of the fluffs. And the carry-on bag that has my clothes stored in it had been opened. But nobody clearly took anything. And also, well, clearly someone tried to move my hatchet, but there was no theft of any kind, at least that I could tell. And it was, if anyone took anything, it was nothing of major importance anyway. So, you know what? Okay, let's have a bit of optimistic thought here. Maybe, no, it was too good to be true. Well, you know what? Maybe it's somewhat dry. Please. Oh my fuck. Oh, actually, hey, you're somewhat dry. You're not, though. Oh my god. Well, I care far more about you than you, other sleeping bag. Sorry, you just kind of serve as a barrier between me, my thermally heated one, and the water seeping in from the underside of the tent floor. So, I'm glad, though. I'm glad that you're somewhat dry. To some degree, thankfully. And I'm sure my blanket, yeah, obviously it's in plastic. Okay. Well, no time like the present. I'm going to pack up and get on out of the district of Laval West. So, see you in February. Okay, I have to highlight this. So, I'm getting close to the edge of Laval West, and I decided to stop at this small business farmers market, yet again right in the suburbs here, with a large plot of land that I think, well, no, it doesn't, it's close by the furthest end section, I guess, of the little nature patch hiking area that I was staying in, but it's nowhere close to the section that I was in of it, if that makes sense. But there's also a private golf course right beside this place, somewhere over here. That's also, well, just beyond these trees. But it's somewhat close to it. But anyway, so I decided to stop here and actually look around, and also just to wash my hands in the washrooms there. And, well, figured I'd purchase just 2 loaves of bread, 1 cheese bread, and then 1 just mixed vegetable and cheese bread, and then an authentically made blueberry pie. And I will just say now, one of those 3 items is completely gone. I don't know where it went. It disappeared. Well, I wasn't looking. And if I turn the camera, my mouth is definitely not blue. But anyway, so after being here for a bit, I decided to walk through here, and apparently, so you might have caught a glimpse of this logo when I was leaving St. Dorothy in the more, well, what was the more farmland area of Rue Principale. And it's the same small business farming company that owns the berry farm that was over there on that road. Or at least, well, they seem to be. And these, well, from what I can tell, they're definitely not majorly expansionist, other than these 2. This isn't major at all, these 2 locations, which are rather small plots, it seems, of land. They've got some what appear to be some form of maybe greenhouse, or just, well, domes covering what I'm assuming are various fruits. And, well, yeah, it's incredibly nice. But I wanted to highlight this little play area they have for just any, I guess, children or anyone, hopefully, who comes through and purchases just some goodies from their store. And they did one of those things, and I know this because when I was younger and lived in more rural Canada, closer to rural, because we lived in a village when I was very, very young, certain farming yards that were more involved, I guess, in community activities or communal just support of, you know what I'm trying to say. Sorry, my words are jumbled right now. But they did something, I've seen this before in Ontario as well, where they'd convert a silo of some kind into like a playset and this one has a slide. And I guess you can get in it from the lower area. But what I also want to highlight is, because I'm so glad that I got to see this, because I haven't been close to any of these fellas since I was very, very young. Oh, where are you going? Oh. Well, you saw a bit of them. Well, I guess I could just move slightly to the right, but goats. Very cute. Seems to be only a male goat and 2, I guess 2 male children. I think only the males have horns, if I'm correct. Oh, maybe not, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know the genderology of goats very well. But they're cute. I just thought I'd highlight that. So, alright. Time to get moving further out. Oh wow. That's not horrifying in the slightest. Oh dear God, that one's even worse. I hate meteorology. Oh yes, I seem to have found another person, just like those in Vermont and Champ-Fleury in the St. Rose district. Another one who's trying to live like Count Vlad the Impaler. Okay, let's see. Very obvious heated driveway. At least 5 garages. Probably about maybe 60 windows. Literal live turkeys. Actually, are you owned by them? Are you like livestock they're keeping, or are you just wild turkeys that are on the island roaming through? Well, either way. Just pointing out turkeys. Oh yeah, and hedges. At various parts of this very thin road. Which, if you can see up there, there is a main boulevard, which is actually St. Rose Boulevard, running through the district here. So, all in all, nonsense. So, welcome to the Febreville district. This is the central area of it. And well, as you can tell, it's been a bit of a mixed day weather-wise. So from my first impressions, considering I've now been here 2 days, well, there's definitely... Okay, I'll say this district so far, from what I've seen where I've walked now, I can definitely say it easily has the largest amount of pseudo-segregation out of the entire city. And yeah, that's not a good thing, because, well, look over here on this side of the main boulevard. You'll see smaller businesses and much lower income housing units. Also, if you go down a ways on the next road over the next intersection, you can also tell the very much predominance of lower middle class housing. Then, if you just look down to the north here, oh, that's contrary, down to the north. If you look north here, well, you might be able to see an uptick in financial wealth. And from the clips I just showed, you also will be able to tell. And obviously, all those housing units are at the far end of the district, in the way northern half, at the northernmost point of, well, the island. And yeah, so they are far tucked away from here. And also, I'll highlight this, because you can see this on an aerial map as well. This whole stretch of grass and trees here, some seemingly freshly planted, looks nice enough. Very nice, actually. But as far as I'm concerned, this is also clearly a pseudo-segregating move. As if you look, okay, so when I was coming into the district from Laval West, down that way, this boulevard was conjoined. It was connected. It wasn't two separate, well, roads for direction heading westbound and then the direction heading eastbound, or, well, considering the angle that the island is facing, heading northeast and southwest. It wasn't divided like this, but yet getting right here into the central area and then going down a ways towards the eastern end of Fabreville, it stays like this. And you'll notice, or at least I did when I was walking along here, there's various small businesses, restaurants, convenience stores, a lot of also auto mechanics around here. Again, not mega corporate, just mainly in the central area. As well as, I think, the only Buddhist temple in all of Laval. It's the only one I've seen. So maybe there is a high portion of, well, Tibetan populace or Bhutanese populace around here. I'm not sure. But, and once you actually get down to the eastern end, where I'm actually camped out, the road once again becomes connected. So they clearly bothered, because if this was how it initially was, the land formation without any human modification to it, which clearly from the surrounding environment it looks like it was before the road was paved, well, then it's very clear for down there and down there, the roadwork companies that helped in the construction, or the city, if the city has it, whenever they built it, has or had its own construction unit to actually build the boulevard, well, they clearly bothered to tear down the tree formations on each end of the district, east and west, but they didn't bother to for the central area. They just bothered to divide the road for seemingly no reason, as far as I'm concerned, other than, well, what I feel to be the obvious. And also, if you look, here's another public library. I've been in and out of it for the past 2 days, and, well, you'll notice on its property this divot, like, just encompassing it, this downward slope in the earth formation. And it's very clear to me that this is not naturally forming at all. This, like, these inward indentations, I think I just created a new word there, they're human made. Because it's clear if you look at the level of, well, height the other buildings surrounding it are on, it's far above this. So, and literally they had to extend the sidewalk area for, well, those with mobility issues, and the stairways to go on an upward incline. So they left just a small portion of dirt patch to place it on, so that I could go upward. And there's absolutely no need for this as far as I'm concerned. It's clear that it was dug out, most likely to prevent those coming from that area who want to use the library from, I guess, getting a better view of this area around here. But besides that, it is very, at least around here, like I said, it's, in terms of the small businesses, it is quite culturally diverse. Like down a ways, there around that area, there's a Quebecois style ice cream parlor, which I ate at today. Got blueberry and mint chocolate chip ice cream. Be quiet. And a little bit beside that, there's an Ecuadorian restaurant. And then literally right beside the ice cream parlor is the Buddhist temple. And then, well, there's a funeral parlor here. It's a Christian funeral parlor, it seems to be. There's what appears to be either a Middle Eastern themed, maybe far west Middle Eastern, like Lebanon or Palestinian themed restaurant, or a Syrian, Kebab Laval, or maybe it's a Northern African. I haven't gone inside to see yet. Probably won't, because I'll be leaving tomorrow. Then there's some bars along here, an Italian style bar. There's a strip club, which I believe I saw on the map when I was in Pont-Vieux. I haven't been in that one. I haven't been in that place either yet. Don't think I'll go in at the moment. And then there's a pizzeria beside it, and there was a cafe tattoo parlor over there, but I think it's been indefinitely foreclosed. But, well, I'm glad to see this mixing of cultures, and in my opinion, overall, in that regard, to what I'm referring to here, non-problematic cultural traditions, genuinely beneficial, though sadly heavily oppressed. Oh yeah, there's the tattoo parlor. You can see it somewhat from here. And we have a public art piece here that is very much attempting to be abstract, and, well, I don't know what it's technically supposed to symbolize, if anything, because I couldn't read the description. But, well, I get what they were going for, but I'm not personally a huge fan of the design. But if they genuinely put passion into it, then I'm glad they made it. And it also appears to be rather minimalistic, so good for that. So, yeah. Alright, let me actually just sit on a bench and just wrap this up, or at least the main... I'll wrap up the main end bit. I'll wrap up this video and I'll make this next clip the main portion of it. Okay, so I was going to record the end bit tonight. You know what, I think I'll do it tomorrow. But just to get a bit more footage on here, just so I think this will actually be some useful information for anyone who's homeless and stealth camping. Places like, I'll just quickly demonstrate how easy it is actually to, for some length, set up your campsite in a discrete area that's in a very public area as well. In more, like, say, suburban place. Well, this is getting to more of the industrial area of Laval. But, You'll notice right there, though, it might seem like a bad idea where I have it set up, but my tent and belongings are right in that cluster of trees up on this hill that's nestled between, well, a bridge coming off of a major roadway and turnoff onto a major highway. And it's also right beside the Quebec Provincial Police's headquarters for Jesus Island, which, yeah, it's not exactly fun. Person of my ideologies sleeping next to the Sécurité de Québec, well, station for the island, as they have been patrolling around here quite frequently and obviously going in and out, as well as just municipal police. But, well, I'll just show you, and hopefully I'll do it very discreetly. I was able to drag Cardi B all the way from the center area of Fabreville. I did it last night. Brought them along this grass patch here. And I'd actually first left them on the sidewalk to just walk around the perimeter of the little hill here to scope out where the best access point would be to get up the side of it, and I found that it was this portion here. So yeah, but it was a pain in the ass. Let's go quick to get them up here, quite literally tugging at them. But oh, it's dark. I don't know how well you can see it. There they are. Hello, Cardi. How you doing? Hope you had a fun day getting soaked by yourself. I did too. Oh, not exactly fun, but I managed. So, and this is a very good vantage point that I have right here. So, you from down below here on, well, just the road level, you cannot see up here even in the day. When I actually woke up and looked around from a lower vantage point of view, you can't see this within this cluster of, well, trees and shrubs, which is fantastic. From over here, from at that bus stop, right on this side, or from the opposite end of the intersection here at the sidewalk by the Canadian Tire branch. The only place that you can kind of see it from the road level is, well, along here, this portion of roadway, but obviously all cars going along it are traveling in the direction of the highway, and they're not coming towards the intersection. So most likely no one's going to turn around and actually, well, spot it. And even if they do, they might just notice it quickly and then, well, they might not really care to do anything about it. So it's worked out fine enough. All right, I'm going to go to bed and then record the last bit tomorrow. So today has not been the greatest of days. I don't know if it's anything in particular, but, well, whatever. Let me just say what I'm going to say. So, yesterday, whilst being here in Februarville, I got a message from a friend of mine. The friend that I had mentioned in the last video. At the end, I had briefly said how one of their parents was diagnosed with most likely ovarian cancer, and that it had become terminal. And well, yesterday when I got into Wi-Fi, they texted me at around 11 o'clock a.m. saying at 2:30 a.m. June 15th, my parents passed away peacefully in their sleep. And all I said back was, may they rest in peace. Because unfortunately I didn't have anything else to say at that moment. So that just was well, it was not something ideal. It's a devastating thing. I didn't know their parent very well, but regardless, it's still terrible. Then, well, got drenched yesterday, as you could tell. But that was really just overall, I guess, a minor inconvenience. But it's been rather cold today and drizzling on and off with rain. I haven't really, well, my camping gear remained dry enough yesterday, but, well, just most likely going to be difficult. Well, tugging it along again. Just once I get on the road to St. Rose. And, well, top of that, one good thing today is I decided to eat at that, and let me correct though, the Ecuadorian restaurant I had mentioned in, well, a couple clips before this, but it's a Colombian and Ecuadorian fusion restaurant with some Mexican dishes as well, so just add on to that. And it was fantastic. And I guess I've just been thinking about various terrible, terrible things. So, plus that, well, on top of all of it, apparently I just found out that I never unsubscribed to a subscription membership that I had originally purchased when I was still living in Toronto. And it's been, I guess, steadily, not majorly affecting it in any way, but, well, charging my bank account since then. I was able to unsubscribe from it today, but not without losing $40, so that wasn't a very kind gesture to my finances, but oh well. There's nothing I can do about that. I should also, I just want to highlight here, when I was in Laval West and I had gone to ask that fire station if I could use their showering facilities, they obviously said no. They just said it was, well, it's for our own personal use. Sorry. Good luck with finding a place to wash up. Thankfully, I found that communal hockey arena. But that goes to show a lot. So you're more than willing to rush into a burning building to put out flames to actually save the lives of those in peril in that regard. And I'm sure willing to help those who are covered in smoke, debris, and soot from within a fiery place. Well, I'm more than willing to help them clean up, provide first aid, work with medics in regards to, as most of North American fire departments, how they operate in assessing, well, problems that are in regards to healthcare. But you're not willing to let a homeless person just quickly use your showering unit in your stationary quarters. Way to help serve the community. Some bit of good news, though, at least to me. So I mentioned in the last video as well that I had begun the process of trying to sign up for Pornhub's modeling payment program, so that I could actually begin uploading videos to my channel on there to actually begin getting payment from it. Now, as I've said multiple times before, I don't believe in commodifying art for profit. And I do not want to use pornography as, well, just a money generator. Obviously not. In this regard, so the reason that one bit of good news is that I finally was able to actually resolve the issues I was having with trying to sign up and everything, which I was having quite a bit of issues. And, well, when I was in Laval West, I got an email saying, congratulations, you've been accepted. Your application, which is very quick response, has been accepted. You will receive payment via the ad revenue placed onto your videos. And I thought, what? Because there was an option on there that said, would you like to receive 5% bonus amount from ad revenues if you become a Pornhub premium member, where a premium model where you are solely uploading to Pornhub and not taking business elsewhere, or you're agreeing to do so under whatever the payment provisions and signed agreements and whatever else. And I said, no, I am not obligated to you, not in the slightest. I was under the impression, from what I had initially researched, that you'd be getting paid based upon viewer count, as well as potentially, depending on how you set it up, ad revenue, which I didn't want to happen. I wanted to just be based on viewer counts, and I don't know entirely now, considering what they're telling me, if it's also to some degree based on subscriber amounts, the pay increase. I don't think so. But, so basically, Pornhub will automatically place ads onto my videos. That's from pair deals with other sites that I guess they have joint operations with. So, or advertising just various studios that utilize their platform. Well, can't control that because I literally have no choice. They're just going to do it. So, fine. But also, there's something on there as well that asked about ad blocking if you didn't want other third-party users, which do exist on the platform, to place ads onto your videos. I didn't care about that. Long story short, I'll be paid through ad revenue on my videos, which I didn't want. But, well, I have no choice in this regard. Well, no, let me reiterate that. I have no other option. I have a choice. I don't have another option. At least that I can see right now. And that being said, as I've stated before, depending on how well my channel on the platform does, and how much profit I rake in from it, which I'm hoping is not a extensive amount. If it does get to a large extent, though, I guarantee I will make sure that I will not amass more than, at the least, $80,000. In fact, actually, that's going to be, I think right now, that'll be my set goal for any amount of profit I make. I will make sure that I don't rake in more than 80,000. What'll happen to the rest if I do amalgamate more in terms of my bank account? Or what would be just automatically deposited into it from both pornographic performance and any other jobs I may obtain. Oh, I will, and I'll talk about this in a different video, I will withdraw it, and I will leave it out in public. Yeah, I'm not donating it to any sort of organization, at least not most, anymore, as my ideals have shifted, my values have shifted. I will leave it out. Just out and about for anyone to take. But again, I'll talk about that at a different time. Now, in regards to hypocrisy, you may recall my video that I made in Ottawa about, well, me addressing those in my age and younger. Dear kids, you won't know how oppressed you are until you actively push against it, then you'll see. That I said I would no longer, or as long as I live, be working for any more mega corporations. And if I can help it, no more moderate. And it's not even, that's further developed. It's not even just if I can help it, I won't work for moderate corporations either. But in this regard, Pornhub is one of the biggest pornographic distribution companies in terms of running the platform, headed by MindGeek, I believe it's called, their parent corporation. So are you not technically working for a megacorp? Yeah? Yes, I am. However, not directly in this regard. Yeah, I'm using their services. I'm using their site to distribute my video content and get some amount of financial currency from. But in this regard, I'm not actually working for, well, their immediate executive operations. So, in this regard, I'll take it as not being as hypocritical as it could be in relation to my new goals with that. To not work for expansionist companies that have complete authoritarian control. But, well, that's one bit of brighter outlook, I guess. My first pornographic video will go up once most likely once I get into either the Ottawa district or back into the Vermont district. I will film it in a forest that's sandwiched in between St. Rose, the industrial area, and Ottail. And then, yeah, I'll go up. I've already stated my philosophy towards sexual entertainment multiple times. So, yeah, there you go. Let me think for a second. Well, I know I'm forgetting something, but I can't remember it right now. What else I wanted to say on here? So I'll just let it be. But I will close off this video with one more thing in relation to moral relativism and why it's idiotic and not real. There's this idea that people should live in tolerance with one another's moral values and not assert superiority over someone else's livelihood, or how someone else presents themselves socially. Yet, if you hold a moral belief that the way someone, okay, let's say that you're against people being overly eccentric with how they describe very very serious and, well, or very complex topics, let's just say that. Well, if this is a part of either an individual's own behavior and what they do on a regular basis, or a cultural practice in terms of either an initial culture or cultural traditions that have formed out of an ideology, creating a neoculture, then your moral and you also hold the idea of moral relativism, believing that you shouldn't so-called assert moral superiority. Well, that ideal quite literally conflicts with the lifestyle of someone else. Same thing goes, let's say, for religion. If you hold the stance that everyone should be tolerant of one another's belief system, but you're actively against not just the conceptual idea of forming a religion, but in that also a majority of the cultural practices associated with various religious groups that moral quite literally conflicts with the whole notion of religious livelihood, of that presentation of spirituality. That's not being morally relative. At least in this regard, you can't. It's not your morals, my morals, let's just get along. I'm sorry, that's not how that works. That assertion of your values is quite literally condemning someone else's values. And as far as I'm concerned, in various instances where it can be proven, that is rightfully so. That's justifiable. That's again why, as far as I'm concerned, moral realism is the reality. So, I'll leave it with that. I'll be heading into St. Rose in a little while. Actually, wait, you know what? One more thing. When I get into Montreal, I'm going to first upload 2 videos. They're videos that sum up my current thought process in its entirety, I think. There are things I've been thinking about even more so since I've left Ottawa. And because of crafting my theories and implementations and diagrams and all things of the sort, and my social observations. I will make those the 2 first videos of me, well, me explaining things whilst I'm in Montreal, and they're not going to be a part of exploring Montreal. They'll be separate. Oh, and just one more thing. 70. Yep, I thought of another idea for a novella. So I'll be trying to write 70 books. Okay, I will try to make this the last one, I mean it. It's an adaptation of a video game, well, 2 video games, technically, that I thought would actually work very well for certain thematical concepts that I want to tackle with it. But if I think of any other ideas for books to write, I will put them on hold in my mind and just let them be, and I will focus on the now 70 writing projects that I have given myself. So, in total, I will be writing 70 books. This one is nonfiction, the 70th that I thought of. Not nonfiction, fiction. Neural misattribution again. So it's fictional. Fiction. So, let's hope this rather dreary day clears up a little. Okay? Have a nice day. You know, guys, I have a bit of a confession to make. I've actually been a recovering alcoholic for about maybe, 4 months now. And I have a real bad habit of drinking white wine. At least 2 hours of every day. And so I've decided as a first step in my recovery that I'm going to cut back to just 1 glass of wine a night. So, might as well start now. I know it's a small step, but I think it'll be worth it.